Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today we're joined by Peter, who will be talking about his image from the trenches,
Hi.
and Veron, who will be talking about the poem Disabled by
Yep.
Wilfred Owen.
I
And I will be talking about an extract from the things they carried. These three pieces show the emotional side of war. Why don't we get started with Peter?
Yeah, well, thank you, Vagar, for inviting me to the show, obviously. And as you said, I have an image of some soldiers in a trench. And so in this image, the first thing that I really noticed was the contrast between the bright sky and the dark trench. And the sky is this really open and peaceful sort of area, and it almost feels warm when looking at it. But then the trench below is completely just swallowed in shadow, and it has this sense of cold to contrast that warmth. And it's just this such strong visual divide and contrast that immediately feels symbolic.
You go, Veron.
so Peter, I think you're forgetting about one really crucial piece, one part of the image that I love. I think you're forgetting about the dog in the image.
Oh, yes, the dog. So the dog kind of, as I said earlier, everything in the trench and below that skyline seems to be dark and just covered in shadow. All of that besides the dog. Like right there, it's the dog. And that's the only thing in the trench that has any real brightness to it. Everything else is just dark, but the dog immediately stands out. And I think it symbolizes the innocence or maybe even just a tiny piece of the normal life that the soldiers can cling on to, and it's just the thing that keeps them going, and that's what it really represents, in my opinion.
And if I
So
could
it's
just
a
chime
little
in,
bundle of joy, right?
Yeah, it's a bundle of joy. I like that phrase.
Like,
I could just chime in real quick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just had to bring the dog up. Because for me it's crazy how that, tiny presence in the image becomes, as you said, the emotional anchor, in that dark space, in those trenches. And this might sound a little bit far-fetched, but comparing that to my poem, to Disabled, um, it hurts, the soldier in Disabled has no anchor whatsoever, no dog, no friend, no nothing, nothing that comforts him. And even in the last few lines, he's, almost waiting to be tucked in, he's yearning for that sort of anchor.
Yes, and if I do recall from reading this poem, it's almost the complete opposite of the dog, where when he gets back from fighting in this courageous war that just like belittled him, he comes back and he has these people that almost see him as a monster. So,
Yes, Vagar, I think that's a great point. Go ahead.
so should I get started on my extract from the things they carried?
Yeah.
yeah, sure. Go
So
ahead.
the author, Tim O'Brien, explains the personal items that these soldiers carried with them into the war, and he contrasts that with the weapons they were obliged to bring into the war, showing the reader how each soldier had their own lives and just like didn't want to be war machines for their government. Like they wanted to actually have fun, have love. For example, Lieutenant Jimmy Cross's love letters from Martha. He carried them with him, keep his mind off war, and some memory of his past life.
Wait, so would it be correct in saying that these personal items, like you said, the love letters, are almost similar to the dog in a sense that they keep these soldiers with a sense of happiness in this just horrible war?
Yeah, that could be a very
Well,
good
yeah,
point.
Baran, is there anything in the poem Disabled that mirrors this, or is there anything that completely contrasts it that you saw?
I mean, to be honest, I don't know why, but this poem gets under my skin every time. Um, to me, it feels, it scares me, how ordinary his decision was. He joined partly because he wanted that attention, and the excitement. It's a masculine thing to do, after all, to join a war, to enlist in an army. It's a teenage thing. Um, and it makes the whole poem feel like a warning, like a cautionary tale, and it comes straight from Wilfred Owen, who is a soldier. I don't know. I mean, listening to both of you, I just realize how war creates these pockets of humanity. You know what I mean? Like your dog in the trench, Peter, or personal items that they carry and the things they carried, like Kiowa. I think that was his name. Kiowa's New Testament, all that stuff. But then those things are yanked away.
Notice the similarity in how all these authors try to depict the theme of the death and try to raise awareness for war, trying to stop it from ever happening again, you know?
Yeah. And Baron, on your poem, as you said, it's about a man who did successfully survive. At least the word survive is very literal
Yeah,
here, in a sense that he almost
yeah.
feels dead after the war, but he did indeed survive. And I think that kind of shows that even in my photo, where it looks like these soldiers are almost looking up towards that light, just all they want is to get out of their dark trench and into the warm, comforting light. But as seen in your poem, even when they get out of that dark trench, it doesn't get better from there. And the
Yeah.
war is just this endless cycle of suffering for them.
I mean, the way his body is described, it's so dehumanizing. You know, the war tears his limbs off. That's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, you say he survived. That's all he did. His limbs are torn off. The imagery is crazy. His limbs are torn off, and he's sewn short at elbow. You know, it's an uncomfortable phrase. It
Yeah.
sounds like he's, a badly tailored suit. Like, he's been sewed together. I mean, that's what it says, but like a fabric instead of a human being. And it's like society's sewn him back together. So
Yeah, and just
that's
that
just
sense of almost like inhumanness. Vagar, I know your story talks a lot about, or at least your extract from the things they carry, it talks about each person's like identity as a human, and this shows that people see him as just a war machine. And does your story have anything to say about that with those items they carry?
Yeah. As he lists all the weapons that the soldiers had to carry, the author is like hinting at that everyone thinks these soldiers are just war machines disposable for the government to use, but they're really not. And war really just like takes the lives of millions of young men. It's just a horrible thing, you know?
I'd say so. I'd say throughout all three mediums that we're looking at, I think literature is fascinating. It captures what people don't really always want to acknowledge. In a photo or a poem or a novel, whatever, all throughout all of our mediums, we see these hidden sort of
And
messages. I think that's a really good
yeah,
point to put, actually.
And
I
it's
feel like
kind
I'm
of interesting,
overcomplicating it.
yeah, that like all of our pieces, escape is just always visible right there in front of them, but
Yeah.
never fully possible.
yeah. Okay,
Yo,
I
we'll
think
cut it
that
out.
basically sums up our podcast for today. Thank you
Yeah,
for listening, and
Of
we'll
course.
see you in the next one.
Yup.
Goodbye.
The world keeps.
Thank you, Braun.